Hi everybody, I'm Scott McKinley and I'm going to start over.
Do you want me to start it over?
No.
Okay.
Hi everybody, Scott McKinley here, Senior Marketing Coach at Universal Accounting. With me I have VP of VPs, Roger Connect.
Thank you. Yes. Hi.
Today we're talking a little bit about the sale. And in the sales process, something that you are bound to encounter with every sales process that you go through, and probably the more prepared you are for it, the better off you're going to be. What I'm speaking about right now is the dreaded objection that comes as you are speaking with a potential client. Roger, talk to us a little bit about the process when dealing with objections and the best way to overcome these objections.
Happy to. And before I actually get into this, I'd like to add one other thing. This isn't just something that you use professionally as you're trying to acquire clients and close a sale. Whenever you're in a discussion and you're trying to help a person change their mind or make a different decision, whether it be with your spouse, your children, this is just typical relationship communication. How do you get someone to understand where you're coming from, or perhaps even come to your side or point of view? So the first thing is to realize that are actual steps, and it's very simple. These are steps that I learned years ago from a colleague of mine, Jeff Stone. Essentially, it's first of all, in overcoming the objection, you have to find the real objection. What's really the problem?
What does that mean?
Well, let's get to it in just a second. Second, what I want you to do is realize that you have to validate that objection. Okay? So I'm going to get back to these. Once you've validated it, then only then can you move on to then isolating it. Is really the only objection you have. And then last, or not last, but next is rebut. You need to now address it, overcome it, resolve it, and then lastly close, ask for that conclusion, or try and get some closure to this. So those are the steps. Now your question to me was obviously, how do you find the real objection?
Give me an example of finding the real objection.
I think too often what happens is when somebody's saying, I don't want to, I'd rather not, this doesn't interest me. What we do is, first of all, we volunteer too often. Well, is it because of this? Is it because of this? And what we do is we feed them with excuses rather than listening and asking, so what's your reason? We more or less vomit on them all these ideas, and they just basically go, that's it. That's the problem.
You create the objection for them.
Exactly. What they did is they now take what you've said, they pinpoint, well, that one sounded good, I'm going to go with that one as being my problem. When in reality, it's not. You gave it to them.
One thing that I've always taught is never give them an out. They're going to have plenty of reasons to say no. They're inclined to say no to you. So never volunteer an out for them, because 9 times out of 10 they're going to say, oh yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah. I'll give you a good example. From a sales point of view, you're doing business and the person says, no, I'm not interested in using your services, and you say, what, am I too expensive? And their answer is going to be, sure, yeah, you're too expensive. That wasn't them saying it, it was me volunteering it because I'm fearing that's what the problem is, and they just grasp onto it realizing, well, that must be what everyone else says, so I'm going to go with that one as well.
Okay, so give me an example of finding what the real objective is.
When you're finding the real objection, you need to ask open-ended questions.
Okay.
Can you explain that? Why do you say that? What do you mean?
Okay.
Help me understand. Those open-ended questions are opportunities for them to elaborate, to expound, and that's what you're looking for, is some chance for them to now explain themselves.
Okay, so if this was a situation where you were selling to me and you asked me to clearly identify what the objection was, and I said, well, it's the cost.
Now, what I'm going to do then is, since I know it's the cost, I need to validate it. See, this is going to be something that I think a lot of people are foreign to. When you're in a conversation, often what we do as human beings is, as you're speaking, I'm coming up with my rebuttal. The moment you take a breath or finish, I then jump in with my answer, with my solution. What I need to do is take a moment, pause, and I need to restate what that person has said in my own words and validate it. I need to confirm that I've understood it. So when you said, for example, you can't afford it, I would say in my own words, so to be clear, you're saying this is a little bit too expensive, is that right? I can understand that. Some people, when they see accounting, they perceive it as being an expense rather than something they can afford as an asset. I can understand why you're coming from that point of view. Would you mind if I helped you maybe see it differently? So now what I've done is I found the real objection, I'm validating it, now I want to move into isolating it.
Which is the third step.
The third step. Now in isolating it, what you want to do is very clearly say, so if that wasn't a problem, are you telling me you'd move forward? If you could see how it's not very expensive, you would then move, or is there anything else that's holding you up? Because the person may say, well, to be honest with you, it's expensive, but in reality, I'm actually leaving town for a month on vacation, so even if it was the most inexpensive thing in the world, I'm leaving town tomorrow and I can't be here. I need to isolate it.
Okay.
So if that's not the problem, you're telling me resolving it, you're going to move ahead.
If you could, yeah, it's the cost. Right now, we don't have it in our budget for your services.
Okay, so if I could show you how this is something you can afford, and we can work out a way for you to be able to afford it, you're telling me this is something you'd move forward with.
Sure, I like what you've said, so...
Okay, so
obviously.
found the real objection, I validated it, it's good, I heard you, I restated it, I'm isolating it now. I'm saying if I could resolve this, there's no other obstacles.
Right.
So the next thing is I need to rebut it. We needed to come to this conclusion of why it isn't an issue. And here's a secret that I'm going to tell you in rebutting. Ask for their help. There's no reason why I have to come up with all the solutions. Simply say, you know what, Scott? Obviously cost is a concern. Let me just tell you, or ask you, what is something that you feel you can afford, or what would make this more worth its while? Get their involvement in resolving the issue. It's not for you to solve the problem. Get their participation. They're a grown adult. They're going to have reason to figure this out as well. And so if you can involve them in the solution process, they'll even own the solution. They'll own it because it was partly theirs.
Okay.
So isolate it, now rebut it. Once it's done, here's the biggest failing that we typically have in sales and relationships is we fail to close this or ask for the sale. Well, let's get started then. Obviously, this is a done deal. Let's do this then. That makes sense. Let's do this. That works. Let's do this.
In my years of experience as a coach, one of the biggest problems that I've seen students run into is failure to just ask for the sale.
Yep.
They go through the process, even if they have objections that they run into with the potential sale, they go through this process, and then they say, well,
Why don't you get back with me?
I'll get back to you. I'm going to go back to my office. I'm going to send you an email, give you a couple days to think about it, and I'll get back to you.
And they walk away before just saying, well, let's do this.
Right.
Let's get started.
Right.
And so that's what you need to do is the last final step is ask for that sale or ask for that decision or ask for that resolution to now move forward.
Alan Bostrom teaches it in his book, In the Black. Nothing happens until you make that sale.
That's right.
So don't pat yourself on the back for a presentation well done if you walk out of that office and don't have the sale, if you're
Exactly.
waiting on a decision. Nothing happens until you make that sale.
Yep.
So close the sale.
Yep. So again,
Fantastic.
5 steps. Find the real objection. Don't provide them once. Validate it. Let them know you heard it and you understood it and that it's okay. Isolate it. Let them know if this is all that we're dealing with, if I resolve this, will you move forward? Get that commitment right then. Otherwise, why are you answering it? Rebut it. Participation. Get them involved in coming up with that solution. And then lastly, ask for the deal. Close it. Let's get started.
A lot of information there. If you have questions on this, if you want further clarification, please don't hesitate to give us a call. We enjoy speaking with you and would definitely love to expand a little bit more on this. It's a big topic. So that's all we have time for right now. Thank you very much. Appreciate you tuning in. Remember, if it's about accounting,
It's universal.
and universal accounting just makes sense.
It does, because accounting success is universal. Take care, guys.
Bye.